TempahZone.
How's it going, everybody? Wherever you listen to this podcast right here, this is episode 107 of the TempahZone podcast with your host, me, Amir Max, and that's all facts. And ladies and gentlemen, my special guest on the show today is a real good friend of mine, someone I've known years before doing this podcast, man. Met this dude when I was like, 14, 15. We got like a 10-year friendship here, bro. We never went to high school or nothing, but this dude right here, y'all, is a really talented guy in terms of the air he has. I feel like anytime this dude's got the ox, he's doing something great. But aside from his full-time job that he got, he works with a lot of artists in the photography world. I mean, the dude's clearly a creative mind. And I've tried to convince him to rap multiple times in our friendship, and I've yet to get the verse. It's gonna happen though. But ladies and gentlemen, I got my homie Dago in the building, man, in the Zoom building. Dago, what's going on, man?
What's up, man? I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today. This is awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm this is a different type of episode for me, man. You know, I need to have more of my like friends on, like people I'm cool with. Like,
absolutely. Well, the other day when I saw you, I was like, yo, man, we have to do a podcast together. I was like, I feel like you haven't had any photographers or anybody like that. You were like, yeah, that's actually a good idea. Let's do it.
I was like, man. I was like, yo, you cut the line. I got you. Yo, we didn't get you on, man. No. Yeah. This had to happen, man. You know, it's funny though, because if you ever want to pursue rap, bro, your first name's already like one of one. I don't think I'll ever meet another Dago, yo.
Yeah, right. That's what I was saying. I was always thinking like what my name could be, and then I was like, I could just do Dago. Dago would just be a good one of one name right there. That's facts.
Yeah, I highly doubt I'm gonna come across.
Well, we gotta put some pen to paper one of these days. If you really want me to, we gotta do that. Just sit in the studio or something.
You can always lay down something if it flows right. You know, I don't like forcing anything music. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to this music stuff.
Can't.
Yeah, you really can't. No, you've probably heard from a bunch of artists how, you know, their process is things aren't rushed like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you gotta just go.
It's never rushed. That's why I think, what was it? I think I just read an article today that from last January, Drake's a new album is set to release by the end of summer. I was like, well, he's already 8 months late, but I'm not rushing him. I'm not rushing him.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel that way about Kendrick too, because like
Kendrick's taking his time.
Yeah, it's like, is Kendrick still put out music? And it's like, yo, this dude's got a lot of pressure on him. Think about it. Like, think of all these projects he's dropped. Like, this dude has to deliver. Like, he can't fuck it up.
Yeah, when you're at that high level, you can't really miss. And I know it's all, you know, subjective. So there's like To Pimp a Butterfly is a very subjective album, goes different ways for different people. But you know, that guy's never really missed from day one. And it's because they take their time. You look at some of the years in between some of those albums, you know, 3-4 years, the time goes by, you'll be like, wow, it's been 4 years since they dropped their last album. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
J. Cole, 3 years since KOD. And I was like, wow, it's been that long. And I listened to the album and I was loving it. I was like, oh man, I missed this. Yeah.
And it's like, well, thank God he took his time. You know what I mean? He didn't rush it. Because I mean, there's always so many ways the artists go about it. You know, you got like a guy like, you know, he's just the first person that pops in my head, like a young boy. Like this dude still has mad music he puts out, you know, Kodak. Like, I don't know how they do it. Like, it's crazy. I mean, but
well, it's hard. It's hard to, there's a lot of artists that can do that, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to hit, you know, that 200,000 album units moved per week or whatever. But the only one who I really know who did it in like an extraordinary way was Future back in 2015.
Yeah.
Like 2016. That streak was absolutely ridiculous. I'd never seen anything like that. It was hard to keep up. I was like, man, that's a classic. That's a classic. He dropped Hendrix and Future in 1 week. I was like, relax. Like, I just heard Mask Off like for the first time in my life.
It's like, man, you gotta slow it down, brother. Yeah, no, absolutely, man. But we'll definitely, as the podcast go on, get to more on that rap stuff, man. Yeah. I really want to talk to you about just how you got into photography and all that stuff, man. Even like a little graphic design stuff, like some of the edits you be doing on your pictures and stuff. I'm like, yo, Dago be doing that shit, man. So like, talk about that. How'd you get into photography?
Yeah, so I played a lot of sports growing up, and you know, kind of spoiled on my end, but I was fortunate enough that my mom never really missed a game, and she was always the photographer for all of my teams. Like, they loved her. She was great at taking photos, and she was very one that she wouldn't charge anyone for the photos like some photographers would, and she would post them the next day, and she would take hundreds of photos of the team. So I every once in a while would take her camera and try and like shoot some photos of my friends and their games and things like that. And when I realized that I was pretty good at capturing certain shots and movement, action shots, whatever it may be, whether it was sports, whether it was, a bird flying in the air, whatever it may be, I started posting them on Instagram. And, some of my friends who actually did work with artists were like, wow, those are actually pretty good. So the way that I actually got into the music photography thing with artists and concert venues was a couple of my friends who were working in that business couldn't make a couple shows. They were completely booked and stacked. And so they're like, can you take my spot? Like, you're the only person I can actually trust with no experience to do this. And I did that for a couple shows and it came out really well. Actually, one of my first shows was Lil Uzi, 2016 or 17 at the House of Blues. And it's still to this day one of my best shots. I think it's the one that you might have seen in my apartment hanging up with the water bottles. Yeah. So that's how I got into it, man. And I'm really, it was a little bit of luck, but it was also a little bit of me taking, kind of my own edge off and taking my mom's camera and really going off on tangent and just shooting my shots, here and there, wherever I could start. But the music stuff was more on the luck side, and I didn't waste any opportunities that I was given, put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you seize the opportunity, and then I'm assuming from there kind of snowball. You probably like did some like YouTube tutorials, or did you guys? How far did you go into like learning like more? What
So I had one of my friends who was working with Adobe at the time, and I was like, all right, well, I have these raw images, and I really want to see what I can turn them into, because I know a lot of the creative process is not necessarily just the image that's taken, but it's what you do with it after. And, I was like, I've got some good stuff to work with. I got some good content. So what can I do? And I started messing around with Adobe. It's not easy. I'll tell you that right now. It's not easy. That stuff is really hard. You have to be, a very tech savvy to be able to use that, as well as just knowledgeable about the creative arts. But, I worked my way through it. A lot of YouTube tutorials, a lot of videos, a lot of practice, trial and error, a lot of failing, forgetting to save all my work type stuff. But, but it came out well. I also found a couple apps that are really good besides Adobe, that don't necessarily cost all that much money, that, really work with the photos that I've been taking and stuff like that. And I love it. It's also something that you have to like, because if you don't like it, it's just like doing, a bunch of Excel spreadsheets. It's just a lot of tiresome work, a lot of trial and error, guess and check, and it doesn't necessarily work for everyone. And there's days where I'm like, all right, it's been 2 hours, I'm bored already. Like, I can't do this today. So it's not for everyone, but for whoever it's for, it's a fun process if you like it. That's for sure.
That should be tedious, bro.
Yeah, it does.
Stuff like you gotta have like patience when you're doing that stuff, because it's one thing to capture the photo, but it's the other thing to get into the editing process and figuring out how you want to make things look and understanding all the different tools and stuff that you have at your disposal. So like, I think that's something that's definitely very dope to hear, man. And just on top of that, like using like Adobe Premiere, not Premiere, that's for videos, but like Photoshop and stuff like that, like that stuff, man, they make it so just like, here you go. And like, you gotta just have to learn. It's like, there's so many things you can use
buttons
to help
here
you and like make it easy. Adobe's like, nah, fam,
nope.
Figure it out.
Nope.
Yeah. So it's definitely one of those things that, people got to be wary of. But I feel like, with like technology getting so good on like phones and stuff, like people are able to finesse photos on like, their camera phones, whatever phone they got. Does a phone ever can it ever live up to like the quality of those super high quality cameras?
So that's another piece that's a great thing you mentioned. Another piece to why I gained the trust of some of my fellow photographer friends who are working in that industry when they couldn't make their shows is because I'm a big concert person. I've been to tons of concerts throughout my life, and I would use an iPhone and take really good photos. So I think a couple of the canvases that I have hanging around my apartment here were iPhone taken, and some of my best photos were actually iPhone taken, and nobody can actually believe it.
Yeah.
Kendrick, Travis, some of those photos were all iPhone taken, and they don't really look like it. So yeah, this thing is actually magic nowadays, and the things that it's been able to do for the past 4 or 5 years already, It's really insane. It should be scary for photographers, you know, unless they keep advancing the cameras. This thing is going to catch up real soon.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's why I asked, because I'm like, damn, like, is it worth buying like a $4,000 camera? Like, what the hell? Like, you know, like you gotta ask yourself those questions, you know.
The one thing I will say though, you know, with the experience is that these, you know, iPhones can maybe catch up and live up to the expectations of a camera, but videography is a whole different realm. Yeah, and that's something that with an iPhone you can't do what you can do with some, you know, videography cameras. You can't. Yeah, there's no way. It's not possible.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a thing where it's like, I highly doubt the phones are gonna get to that point because it's so much freaking space to record video. I mean, when the time this episode's done and put out, man, it's like it's gonna be like 3-4 gigabytes. You know what I'm saying? I do this once a week, so like you gotta make sure you have your shit ready and, you know, like all stored up, man. So that's the other thing you have to take into account. But yeah, I think that's interesting, man, because I've been able to finesse some good shit off my phone. But like, you know, there's always a place for the, you know, whatever type of tool you want to use. So I think that's dope that the phone's something you can make work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's on the camera's ass for sure.
Yeah. It's catching up. Yeah. Like I remember when like I had like the Razor phone with the camera on it. That shit was so ass, bro. Like that was like 15 years ago. Like that's not that long ago. Like from 15 years,
it really
you jumped.
I remember back in it was like 10, 15 years ago. I wanted the Razor. Everybody had the Razor. That was a new shit.
Yeah. That was a whole era, bro. It did not last that long. You know, it did not like the iPhone. Yeah, because and nowadays, now we can, you know, record videos super easy, do photo shoots super easy. I mean, it's a gift and a curse because if you look at the people who are in the professionally, it's like, you know. But like you said, it's all about photographers and videographers finding a way to make sure that they're, you know, ahead of whatever the phone can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is definitely a good segue to this next question I got to ask you, man, because obviously considering the technology is so readily available and cheaper.
Okay.
Do you think, what is it about photography that you think people assume it's so easy to do? Because I do have a phone that takes good pictures, but like you still have to have the eye and the you know, the right time for everything. So answer that for me.
Yeah. So one thing that, you know, a lot of people talk about in the photography world is it's like this phrase. It's kind of like you say, like you have the eye. Like if you have the eye, it's the ability to, in my opinion, my definition of it is like the ability to capture the moment. You know, there's always like a moment or two per show, or per concert, or per game, where you're like, wow, like that was the moment that if you like didn't have the eye and the timing and the luck to catch it, you completely miss it. And the next thing you know, you have like the next scene of that, you know, that freeze frame, and it's not what it should be. And it goes for sports too. It goes for music. It goes for everything. So what I think people really overlook in the photography game is, you know, they have these cameras these days that you can pay $2,000-$3,000 for. And you hit a button, and for 5 seconds, it takes 20, 30 shots.
Yeah.
And people assume that you can just point it at the screen or at the stage, and you get, you know, those 20, 30 shots, and you're like, all right, 3-4 of them have to be good.
Yeah.
But it's a lot about knowing, you know, the settings. It's a lot about knowing the lighting, the timing. It's all about having that eye to know when a moment's going to be perfect, when that moment's going to be beautiful. But also, a lot of people, you know, forget it's also luck. It really is, like, you know, to be able to be in that right spot, because you could be, you know, right above, or you could be right underneath and not in the middle of the crowd where you need to be to see that shot. And, you know, between, you know, knowing your stuff and having the eye, and also, you know, getting a little bit of that luck in you, people overlook that. They think that they can just shoot 30 shots with a nice camera and eventually get something out of it that they can just edit on their own after. It's not all about that. And that's something that's always overlooked. I overlooked it until I realized, you know, through experience, and now it's more about persistence and, you know, getting the content and really, you know, keeping up and looking at everything that's going on at the concerts. So that's super important.
Yeah, man, that shit is key, man. And I think when you're trying to get that right picture, there shouldn't be a need for too much editing. There shouldn't be a need for too much post production if you've done all the proper steps prior to taking that photo. And I think it's so easy to say it, just like, oh, bam. Like, nah, like you gotta, like you said, be in that right place at the right time, man. And I'm actually happy you said luck, because I'm like, sometimes like some of these people must be getting, because falls, I'm like, yo, that looks fake, but it's like, nah, like they got it at the right time. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I agree. I think if you're truly talented, you will definitely admit that a lot of it sometimes comes down to just being at the right spot at the right time, and that's not necessarily something that you control. A lot of times in venues, they give you 3 songs. Usually the rule is, and at least here, it's 3 songs under the stage or on the stage. And then you have to get out and go, figure out where else to be within the venue. So, you'll get your 3 songs. And to be honest, I've never gotten my photo from those 3 songs. They give you the first 3 songs. You never get the photo that you want. You never do, because you're just warming up, trying to get a feel for the artist. You're also way too close. You don't really get that view. So it's about persistence, then I just walk around the venue. I'm a pretty big guy, so I'll go into the crowd. I don't really worry too much about hurting the camera or anything like that. And that's where I usually get my shot. And I won't even know it till the next day. And I'll be like, wow, that was actually a good one, because you can't really check in the moment. You can't really check. And you're sitting there, you might miss a moment yourself. So it's really having that faith in yourself and knowing your eye and knowing your shots. So.
Yeah, man. You gotta have a whole game plan. You gotta be fucking laser beam focused. I feel. You can't slack. Oh, boop, time to get it.
Exactly.
Man. That's it's a super talent. And I always try to, tell people when it comes to photographers, like that shit is super hard, because too much have I heard, people undermine that skill or what it takes to do that, and I'm like girls have it down, but. Like most, girls take more photos, but I feel like when it comes to guys, it's like, you see some, just any random dude, most of them, you just see some of the photos and say, like, dog, like, why did you upload that? You could, there's just simple things like that, man. So it's just like, that's why it's hard to take a photo. Look at example.
That's true. That's good stuff. Yeah, it's very real.
Yeah, you gotta have the attention to detail, man. It's some real stuff, man. Outside of whatever venues you've worked though, what would you say is the best live performance you've been to? Because you've been to a lot of shows, man.
Yeah, I've been to a lot. I like to put 2 up there. 2 complete different genres. So my favorite performer and my favorite concert is definitely Travis Scott. Now I've seen Travis Scott like 8 or 9 times, so it's hard to single out like one of his single performances. I think my favorite was at Coachella. There were 100,000 people there. We managed to get up to the front, and it was absolutely insane. So, and it was right where Birds in the Trap, Sing McKnight was coming out. So all those songs were just flying around everywhere. Travis was blowing up. He was the headliner for Coachella. Absolutely crazy show. And then a second one that I always loved, I thought it was insane, and it was one of my first concerts ever, was Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Oh, wow.
And it was when Roger Waters had just gotten back with his band, Pink Floyd, and I was like maybe, I don't know, 12 or 13 years old. Crazy concert, classic band, rock band that not a lot of people really get to see live these days. So I'm grateful for that. But it was like a beautiful concert, like the way they set that whole thing up. If you look into the history of like The Wall and all of the meaning behind the war that they were singing about and making music about, it was crazy to see it live, and then to grow up and look back on it, it's like, wow, they made a whole movie off of that album alone. And so being able to see that tour was crazy.
Yeah, bro. Damn, Pink Floyd live. I don't know when they're ever gonna tour again. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, that might be it. Like because they've been doing it for a very long time. That's a very lit show to go to. But I mean, seeing Travis Scott, man. I mean, that's in terms of relevancy. Like, holy crap, man. You mentioned Travis Scott and Pink Floyd, and it had me thinking. It's like one's a rock band with live instruments, and then there's Travis Scott with just the freaking energy. But like, a little deeper to dig into it, why do you feel Travis Scott is the best live performer of in this time? One of the.
So There's actually, that's actually a good question. So there's two things that, I think, or three things actually that really go into, a great performance. And I'll start from the third. The third is, is how long you're able to perform for, because, some of my favorite artists will go on stage for 40 minutes and then dip. And that's not cool, because I just paid, hundreds of dollars to see you perform, and you just do 40 songs, which in the grand scheme of things, they do the bare minimum, which in the grand scheme of things is like 10 songs. If that, but, so third most important is really how long you can perform. Travis Scott, will go for like an hour and a half hour. Drake went for 2 hours. Crazy. Things like that. Pink Floyd went for like 2.5 hours. The second thing is, not necessarily how big you are, but how well you're able to use the lights and the colors to set your stage up, to set you up, because just like taking photos, seeing it visually with your eyes is also a cool, representation of art. And being able to see something awesome is cool. That's why so many people love EDM concerts, because, the lighting is and the artwork behind it is ridiculous. And that's why the person, just gets to sit up on a desk with, a bunch of keyboards and not move at all, because the lights are doing all the work for them. And Travis Scott really knows how to use those lights to his advantage. He's got huge birds flying, all that stuff going around, crazy. So he had a roller coaster in his Astroworld concert. Like, he went here with the Astro and a Ferris wheel. And then, the first most important is the ability for the artist to know which songs we like and want to see live. Future, in my opinion, as much as I love him and put him at the top, he doesn't know. I've seen him so many times. He doesn't really know like which songs like I want to listen to right now. Like there's certain songs these days that I really want to hear, and he'll go on and perform like New Bugatti, and I'm like, man, that is like 10 years ago. Like, you have 6 new albums since then. Like, you really have to look deeper into like what people are really fucking with these days. Travis Scott knows exactly what we want to listen to, and he'll throw that stuff in order, and it's crazy. And he really gets the vibe out of the concert. Like, he knows, like he broke the world record for most times performing a song in a concert. He did 16 Goosebumps in a row.
Goosebumps. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that. So
and like, you can only do that in specific situations if you are a specific type of person, because he knows, first of all, his crowd is willing to go 2.5 hours. He knows that he's willing to take 45 minutes and break a record. Everybody's down for it, because that's a lit song. Like, when that song goes, goes off and the beat drops, everyone goes nuts. So I think first most important is the ability to know which songs, everybody's going to resonate with live and in a mosh pit and in a crowd. That's super important.
Damn, bro.
It shows that your crowd and your audience too, and it shows that how to like sonically, pair your music and specific songs that you've made live in concert.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a very interesting thing, especially when you're dealing with artists who've been around for a really long time. Like, I saw Tech Nine live. Tech Nine has like a shit ton of songs. This dude drops like probably like 2 solo projects a year, and he's been around since like the late 90s. So like, when this dude performs live, he does a shit ton of songs, but he chooses all the right songs.
Yeah,
crazy. Like, but it's like, the fact he can remember all the lyrics, the fact he knows exactly which ones to choose at what time. Like, it's an art to choosing that song selection. And to all the teams involved who make that happen, it's like, man, that's you pay top dollar to do that,
right?
Because it's not just him coming up with, you got a team around and be like, oh no, your fans really like this one, oh that one's a cult classic. This, like, those are the people you need around you. So like, yeah, man, that's definitely a good first choice, song selection. It's the one of the big parts of performing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Does it ever drive you crazy to see performers perform with like the song playing in the background? Like, it's literally like the actual song, and they're just rapping and singing over it. Because that's a big trend nowadays, bro. And I know a lot of artists, in the city who, like, you do that shit at shows, some of them will look at you somewhere. They'll be like, man, what you doing?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but like, I've also never performed live on stage, so I also don't know how hard it is. I know it's extremely hard.
That's a big though, yeah. See, it's good that you're looking at it from both sides though, because it is hard to do it. But I mean, like, a guy like Travis Scott, a guy like Tech Nine, a guy like Jay-Z, like, these are people who, you're hearing their voice the whole time. They got the endurance. Drake's rapping that whole time, and it's like, just step your cardio up. I don't know.
I don't know. It's hard. I don't know. It's a wonder because, I'll be just singing along to songs, here, and I'll run out of breath, and I'll be like, damn, like, and I know, like, in the studio, sometimes they don't perform the whole verse in one take. Like, I know sometimes they'll break it up.
Oh yeah.
And so to see them go live and just do the whole thing, it's like, well, where did that come from? You just ran around stage and now you can do that. It's crazy. It's impressive though. It's impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I've and it's great when you can see the artists do everything live, but I just seen enough rappers, almost too many rappers do the rapping over the MP3. And then they're not even rapping the lyrics, and like saying like the first half of the line. And it's like, man, like it's someone like me, I see it, I'm just like, come on, man, you're being lazy.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
You're too cool for school.
Yeah,
but it's one of those things. I get it. It's like perfection. It's like, some people don't bat an eye at it. So it is what it is. But like, it's definitely one of those things I had to ask you about, man. Yeah, man. We're in 2021 right now, man. There's a lot of really dope artists. There's a lot of choices in the rap game. I know you have a wide range of music you listen to, but let's just condense it to rap, man. I want to ask you, because I trust your ear. You listen to a lot of stuff where I'm like, oh shit, what's that? So I want to ask you, man, who do you think right now, in terms of like the new class that we have, who would you say is the best rapper out of that right now?
Yeah, it's got to be Lil Baby.
Yeah,
if you want to consider him, like, it's got to be Lil Baby. Like, that man is going ballistic right now. And like I was telling you the other day, and I was telling some of my friends, like, there was a time where people were, and I'm sure people still might be, but there was a time where people were really, heavily weighing like who's better, Lil Baby or Gunna, because they're doing all this collab music. They did their collab album, and people were like, a lot of people were leaning towards Gunna's side, and I was one of the people who was like, honestly, I kind of like Lil Baby. And then, Gunna dropped his album, and then Lil Baby dropped his solo album. And, Lil Baby's did really well. It did like the most numbers for like that year, whatever it was, 2020 or whatever. And I was like, I'm telling you, Lil Baby's on the come up, and now he's just going ballistic. Like everything he's hopping on is just absolutely ridiculous. Wants and Needs verse, the Ramen and OJ verse, Joyner Lucas, everything's just going ridiculous right now. I don't even know what he's doing, but he's doing it right.
Yo, that Wants and Needs verse, when I first heard that, I was like,
it didn't hit me right away.
Yeah. Oh, it hit me right away. It
hit me.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Probably that third, fourth listen, you're probably like, oh shit. Yeah.
I think like honestly,
you gotta catch the bars. He's spitting really quick. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I think like 4 or 5 days into listening to it, like all day, I was like, whoa, like Lil Baby just went off.
Yeah, like, I'm not a goat, but I fit the description. Like,
I'm not a goat, but I fit the description.
That line, right? I was like, how has no one said that line yet? Like, what the hell? Like,
that was crazy.
That's the shit where some rappers like, damn, I wish I said that one first.
Seriously.
Yeah, man. I think what also did it for me with Lil Baby too was the bigger picture, because I did not expect that from Lil Baby.
Yeah.
I didn't think he would ever step into that realm and talk about that stuff. Once he did that, I said, rumble, young man, rumble. You know what I mean?
Run, Forrest, run.
Yeah. Just go get it, man. Like you're the guy now. Yeah. So yeah, Lil Baby, it's kind of not close either. Like he's like,
it's not. It's not. I was thinking like, maybe you can consider Gunna, but Gunna's not doing what Lil Baby's doing right now at all. I was also going to say, watch out for, Jack Harlow, but Jack Harlow's not going to touch the audience level that Lil Baby is touching right now. And though I love Jack Harlow, I think he's great, really good. I think he's really good. Yeah, And I was also going to say, I was just listening to the album today. Polo G's new album, Hall of Fame. It's pretty good. It's not as good as, I don't think it's not as good as The GOAT, like his last album is.
Yeah, but that one was pretty good. Yeah.
But that one was really good. But he's also on the come up, and he's also pretty talented. But Lil Baby he's on a new level right now. Yeah,
because I think he just has a good balance of doing the rap stuff, but hitting it with that melody rap. And he also can just like he does it in this weird way. It's like, is he singing? Is this still rapping? Like some people, it's like 24K Golden. It's like, okay, he's really doing some singing rap stuff. Like that's like
it's like melody rap. Yeah. It's like melody rap.
But Lil Baby, he's like right on the line. It's perfect. It's like it's good enough for the people like the melody rap, and it's still good enough for the older people who like like spit
the bars.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So I definitely think, yeah, man. Yeah, it's not really close. I can't really think of other people. I mean, like I have like personal favorites, like little Baby Keem. Baby Keem is a guy I really mess with, but like he's not as popular. You know, I'm talking like we're talking the whole aspect,
the whole picture,
yeah. So the whole picture. So like when it comes to that case, you know, Lil Baby's definitely got it. You know, I guess some other honorable mentions would probably be like Lil Durk. Lil Durk's popping right now too.
Popping right now. Yeah, he's popping right now.
Ice-T's popping right now in terms of popularity. Like those are some other names, but yeah, Polo G. Yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see where the rap game's going, man. Or like you can even say Benny the Butcher or Conway.
Right.
Like to take it to like some newer guys who are old, older. I think that's dope to see. I love bumping those guys' music. So yeah, man, it's a good place to see hip hop in, man. But I definitely want to ask you about that Mount Rushmore list, that rap thing that they came out with.
Yeah.
It had Drake, it had Kendrick, it had J. Cole, and then a missing spot. Now they had recently said Nicki Minaj fills that fourth spot. I'm cool with that. That's not who I would have chose.
Nah.
But who would have you chose for that fourth spot?
Well, and this is what 21st century. Like music,
I think they're talking about like the 2010s. It has to be 2010s. Like that.
Then I would probably throw Kanye there.
You can put Kanye.
I think Kanye would be my guy because Kanye's had like 2 decades of just like eras where like there's like this is the Kanye era of this style, and then there's the new Kanye era, and I think 2010 on, so 2010 and on he did My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Yeezus, The Life of Pablo, and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and The Life of Pablo to me are phenomenal. I think Yeezus is really fun to listen to because it's so experimental, but still like, bangers. And then he dropped that like 7 series of like 7-song albums, which Ye and the one with Kid Cudi, Kids See Ghosts.
Yeah, I love that project.
I didn't, I loved them. They were 7 songs, which is, very unorthodox, but I thought that they were really good. It was a good quick listen. And then he produced, I count it anyway because he produced the whole Pusha T 7-song album. That was unreal. That Pusha T album was phenomenal.
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely.
So I would put Kanye there. I don't know who I would put if I didn't put Kanye there because
Future.
I would like, Future would be the only person because like I would want to put Jay-Z. I would want to put Jay-Z, but like I don't think I can. Because I just don't think I just think he's more of a 2000s.
Yeah, from like 2000 to 2009, like that's where it was more of his dominance. And I mean, Jay-Z's from like the late 90s too. So like,
I don't even think he would want to be there. If you asked him, I don't think he would want to be there. So yeah, Future's that's also great. Like, you could also just argue for Future because since 2013 he's been non-stop and unstoppable, so that's extremely fair.
And the impact, bro, like
you're right,
so many people try sounding like Future. It just spawned a whole thing in the rap game that I don't think anyone saw coming because there was T-Pain, there was Kid Cudi, but Future was the one that really was like, nah, this is rap and it's got that melody. It's going to completely shake things up. So I think that's dope. But yeah, man, there's Lil Wayne. I know people said Lil Wayne was another one that could have been on it, but like
I wouldn't put Lil Wayne up there. He's kind of that. He's tailed off for me. I still listen to his stuff, but I have all the respect in the world for Lil Wayne, by the way. But he's not where I would put. I wouldn't consider him, just like Jay-Z. I wouldn't consider him a 2010s guy.
Yeah, not for that decade. Yeah, but like I totally get the Nicki Minaj as the fourth. I mean, like if we're talking about women rappers, and I hate saying that because it's just like music's music, but like rap's predominantly male artists, so a female artist is gonna stand out. And Nicki Minaj, man, I mean,
she can spit for real.
She can really spit. She came in the game, like she can spit her ass off. And the impact. I mean, after Nicki Minaj, now what we're seeing now, you can almost thank Nicki Minaj for it. I mean, there's obviously been a lot of prominent female rappers before Nicki Minaj,
right? But Nicki Minaj is she's the one who did it.
God damn, she shook that shit up. You know what I mean? So like them putting her fourth, it's almost like you kind of have to give it to her just based off that, aspect alone. But it's like there were, there were definitely some other good contenders, man. But I thought it definitely shook things up. So people, what got me mad was like people like take Kendrick off, take J. Cole off. Like, what?
Yeah,
no. You gotta keep those three. Them three stay on.
don't hurt me like that. You know what I mean? Like, don't hurt me like that. Nah, I would argue, any of those that we just mentioned between Future, Kanye, and Nicki Minaj are definitely fair arguments. You just have to make your case right. But Drake, Kendrick, and Cole, they don't move.
No.
There's a reason. There's a reason those three were there, and there was a fourth option that we had to decide between.
Mm-hmm. And it's been that way since like 2015, bro. Like I feel like after like it's ever since 2015, I think everyone's like, yeah, these are the three. These are the three. It's not even a question. You know what I mean? Yeah, just in the all around aspect. So yeah, I definitely thought that was a fun little list, man. So I definitely want to ask you about that because, like I said, man, I trust your ear. You listen to a ton of music. You probably listen to a lot more music than other people because I be seeing you play some stuff and go to something like, yo, this is a deep cut, man.
Yeah, I try to get around the music, man. I that's why I started collecting vinyls and whatnot. I just think music is music. Honestly, kind of keeps me going throughout every day. And sometimes with work, I don't get to listen to all the music that I want to, and I can really see it affecting my day because I'm like, damn, like it really opens me up, really like changes my mood. It uplifts my mood, gives me a whole new mindset. I think music's super important, at any level, whether you're a top tier artist, whether you're a newbie, whether you're working with music or around music, just being able to live through music in some way, shape or form and have some part of it become, a part of your day is super important. It's just awesome. And there's no other way to describe music except music is awesome, man. Like, that stuff is the best.
Music's so common, you can't even ask people what kind of music you listen to. Like, you ever see people use that as a pickup line? It's like, because it gets just made fun of. It's like, man, like everyone listens to music. Like, it's just like, find something else. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. When I see like I personally use Spotify, but like the Spotify Wrapped, where you can see like how many minutes somebody listened to like that year. And people just have like very low minutes. I'm like, what else were you doing? And you're like, what are you doing? What were you doing? You know what I mean?
Podcasts? I don't know. It's either music or podcasts. I don't know what else people listen to.
Well, podcasts but no music. I got to get more into podcasts for real because podcasts are dope.
I've definitely listened to a lot more podcasts in the recent time, but obviously, I always be bumping music when I can.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't drive in the car with no music or nothing playing. That's not me. But you always gotta have something playing, man. I gotta ask you though, man, before we get out of here, though, what's next for you in terms of working these venues and all that other stuff? Anything that you got planned for the future?
So I do have some stuff planned for the future, and I love that I get to share it here. I'm moving to Denver in 2 months.
Hell yeah!
And moving to Denver in 2 months, I'm gonna try and do my best to work with some of the venues out west, but specifically Red Rocks Amphitheater is one that I've got lined up, and that's ranked one of the top most beautiful. That was the one you showed venues, me, right? Yeah, right. With the it's like almost like the Red Rock Coliseum type, and it's one of like the most beautiful venues out in the country. In the United States. And if I can get to work with that and see some of those headliners and, take photos in that whole new world outside of like TD Garden and House of Blues, that would just change my portfolio for a whole different level, So that's what I've got going, but definitely going to try to make some moves out west when I move there in 2 months. Concerts are coming back. And I'm never going to stop taking photos as long as I got two legs working. So that's where I'm trying to take things next, to be honest with you.
Yeah, man. That's gonna be very exciting, man. And I'll be, wishing you luck on your endeavors there in Denver, man. You know what I'm saying? I know you're gonna definitely make a killing out there and make it happen, bro. Moving and making those moves is, stepping into change is such an important part for anyone. So I think, it's gonna be really dope to see, man, what you accomplished there, bro. I'm looking forward to seeing the elevation, bro.
Absolutely. Likewise,
no pun intended, because you're moving to Denver.
It says facts, but man, likewise.
But man. Dago, thank you so much for being on the podcast, man. We finally made it happen, bro.
Thank you, man. This is awesome. It's fun. It's my first podcast. wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah, it's a good time doing the pod, man. Absolutely, absolutely. Before we go, man, where can the people follow you at? Where do you want to plug for them? Where can they reach you?
Yeah. So Dago Castiel, DagoCassiel, kind of how it sounds. Dago Castiel on Instagram. You look up Dago, I'll probably come up as one of the first few. But all my photos, all my life is up there. I try to keep it real for everybody and try to keep it, creative as long as I can.
And if you're a Chiefs fan, you can follow.
And if you're a Chiefs fan, man, you can see a few glimpses of my fanhood right there too. But
FYI, Dago's been a fan of the Chiefs since I've known him. He is no bandwagon fan. He's a real Chiefs fan.
Fact.
Let me just state that first, because pretty, you can't let that go out of context. But yeah.
Yes, sir.
But hell yeah, man. Thank you, Dago, so much for being on the show, man. I really appreciate it, dog.
I appreciate the time, brother. Take care.
Hell yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, episode 107 of the TempahZone podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you tune in next week for another episode, all right? Peace out.